by forever history of the Peloponnesian War, encyclopedia of infinite knowledge, freestyle. Self-control is the chief element in self-respect, and self-respect is the chief element in courage. Most people, in fact, will not take the trouble in finding out the truth, but are much more inclined to accept the first story they hear. A rapper, a beer, a doe, a deer, a female deer, I drink another beer. Right as the world goes is only in question between equals in power, while the strong do what they can and the weak suffer what they must. For the whole earth is the tomb of famous men. Not only are they commemorated by columns and inscriptions in their own country, but in foreign lands there dwells also an unwritten memorial of them, graven not on stone, but in the hearts of men. Make them your examples and esteem and courage to be freedom, and freedom to be happiness. Do not weigh too nicely the perils of war. When one is deprived of one's liberty, one is right in blaming not so much the man who puts the shackles on as the one who had the power to prevent him, but did not use it, abuse it, spit it, rap it, a poet, I know it. A war is a matter, and not so much of arms as of money. A man who has the knowledge but lacks the power clearly to express it is no better off than if he never had any ideas at all. Men who are capable of real action first make their plans and then go forward without hesitation, while their enemies have still not made up their minds. Spit never ending rhymes. My work is not a piece of writing designed to meet the needs of an immediate public, but was done to last forever. The absence of romance in my history will, I fear, detract somewhat from its interest, but if it is judged worthy by those inquirers who desire an exact knowledge of the past, as an aid to the understanding of the future, which in the course of human things must resemble. If it does not reflect it, I shall be content. In fine, I have written, spitten my work, not as an essay with which to win the applause of the moment, but as a possession for all time. Rhymes. Men's indignation, it seems, is more excited by legal wrong than by violent wrong. The first looks like being cheated by an equal, the second like being compelled by a superior. Rapper forever inferior. Think too of the great part that is played by the unpredictable war. Think of it now. A pow, a bow, wow, wow. A pow, 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 a meow. Before you are actually committed to war, the longer a war lasts, the more things tend to depend on accidents. Neither you nor we can see into them. We have to abide their outcome in the dark. And when people are entering upon a war, they do things the wrong way around. Action comes first, and it is only when they have already suffered that they begin to think about them. Pink, ring, ring, ding, ding, da, dink. Free of the greatest failings want or of sense of courage or of vigilance. If it had not been for the pernicious power of envy, men would not so have exalted vengeance above innocence and profit above justice. In these aspects of revenge on others, men take it upon themselves to begin the process of repealing those general laws of humanity which are there to give a hope of salvation to all who are in distress. I am more afraid of our own blunders than of the enemy's devices. Words had to change their ordinary meaning and to take that which was now given them. Reckless audacity came to be considered the courage of a loyal supporter. Prudent hesitation, specious cowardice, moderation was held to be a cloak of unmanliness. Ability to see all sides of a question, incapacity to act in any frantic violence became the attribute of manliness. Caution, cautious plot, and justifiable means of self-defense. The advocate of extreme measures was always trustworthy. His opponent, a man to be suspected to succeed in a plot, was to have a shrewd head. To divine a plot, still shrewder, but to try to provide against having to do either was to break up your party and to be afraid of your adversaries. In short, to forestall an intending criminal or to suggest the idea of crime where it was lacking was equally commended, until even blood became a weaker tie than party from the superior readiness of those united by the latter to dare everything without reserve, deserve, for such associations sought not the blessings derivable from established institutions. I'm rapid intuition, but were formed by ambition to overthrow them rather than the anthem, and then the cowardice of their members, and each other rapid forever rested less on any religious sanction than upon complicity in crime. Rhymes. The strong do what they can, and the weak suffer what they must. Wrap up a bust. Bust a nut in your mama's butt, not. And do not imagine that what we are fighting for is simply the question of freedom or slavery. There is also involved the loss of our empire and the dangers arising from the hatred which we have incurred and administer, and nor is it any longer rapid forever possible, unstoppable, indestructible for you to give up this empire, though there may be some people who, in a mood of a sudden panic, rapid automatic, and in a spirit of political apathy, actually think that this would be a fine and noble thing to do. Toot-de-loo, toucan Scooby-Doo. Your empire is now like a tyranny, and may have been wrong to take it. It is certainly dangerous to let it go. Whoa. I think the two things most opposed to good counsel or haste and passion. Haste usually goes hand in hand with folly, passion with coarseness and narrowness of mind. Rhymes all day and all night. Good deeds can be shortly stated, but where wrong is done, a wealth of language is needed to veil its deformity, rapping never-endingly. Most people, in fact, will not take trouble in finding out the truth through of the loom, but are much more inclined to accept the first story they hear. Drinking all of these beers, people are inclined to accept all stories of ancient times in an uncritical way, even when these stories concern their own native countries. History is just a set of lies agreed upon, you know, and we know as practical men that a question of justice arises only between parties equal in strength, and that the strong do what they can and the weak suffer what they must. And yet, alas and day among neons, you still delay away and fail to see that peace stays longest with those who are not more careful to use their power. I got the power. Stop, shower time. Rhyme. Justly van to show that their determination not to submit and injustice. On the contrary, your ideal of fair dealing is based on the principle of bedazzle, chisel my nizzle, hustling the devil. That if you do not injure others, you need not risk your own fortunes in preventing others from injuring you. Toot-de-loo. If one follows one's self-interest, one wants to be safe, whereas the path of justice and honor involves one in danger, rapid forever. You have become regular speech goers and ask for action, rapid never end, and you merely listen to accounts of it. If something is to be done, in the future you estimate the possibilities by hearing a good speech on the subject, and as for the past, you rely not so much on the facts, raps, which you have seen with your own eyes, rhymes, as on what you have heard about them in some clever, rapid forever piece of verbal criticism, anti-substitutarianism, supercalifragilistic, any novelty in an argument deceives you at once, a dunce. But when the argument is tired, tried, improved, you become unwilling to follow it. Spit it, I rap it, a poet, I know it. You look with suspicion on what is normal and are the slaves of every paradox that comes your way. The chief wish of each one of you is to be able to make a speech himself, raps on the shelf, and if you cannot do that, raps. The next best thing is to compete with those hoes. I bet you suck a golf ball for a garden hose. Well, don't you know who can make this sort of speech by not looking as though you were at all out of your depth while you listen to the views put forward by applaud and rapping never ending a good point even before it is made. Away goes today, rapper parade, and by being quick at seeing how an argument is going to be developed, rap on a bap. As you are slow at understanding, ramping or ending, what in the end it will lead to. What you are looking for all the time is something that is, I should say, outside the range of ordinary, rapping creatively, experiencing, yet you cannot even think straight away about the facts, raps of life that are before you. Toot to lose, toucan Scooby Doo. You are simply victims of your own pleasure. Rapper forever and listening and are more like an audience sitting at the feet of a professional lecturer. Rapper forever than a parliament discussing matters of the state. Away goes today. Spending all night and all day. We all look with distaste. We all look with distaste on people who arrogantly pretend to a reputation to which they are not entitled. Rap about denial. A denial is not just a river in Egypt, I said, spitting raps again, but equally to be condemned are those who, through a lack of moral fiber, fail to live up to the reputation which is theirs already, rapping never-endingly. Indeed, it is generally the case that men are readier to call rogues clever than simpletons honest, and are ashamed of being the second, as they are proud of being the first. Haven't you heard the way that most men deal with traditions, even traditions of their own country, rapping never-endingly, spitting forever, eternity, infinity, is to receive them all alike as they are delivered without applying any critical test whatever. Rapper never-ender, spitter a spatter, in times of peace and prosperity, cities and individuals alike follow higher standards. Rapper never-ender, spitter a spatter, because they are not forced into a situation, equation, invasion, annihilation, where they have to do what they do, not what want to do, but war is a stern teacher. Rapper forever, and depriving them of the power of easily satisfying their daily wants. It brings most people's minds. Captain Jason Voorhees' eyes. I shot him 6 times, said Dr. Loomis to Michael Myers. Rapper forever, down to the level of their actual circumstances, to feel pity, to be carried away by the pleasure of hearing a clever argument, spitting, rapping a resentment, to listen to the claims of decency are free things that are entirely against the interests of imperial power. Rapper forever, a city is better off with bad laws, so long as they remain fixed, than with good laws, that are constantly being altered. That lack of learning combined with sound common sense is more helpful, or about a handful, than the kind of cleverness that gets out of hand, and that, as a general rule, states are better governed. Rapper never-ender, spitter, pitter-patter by the man in the street than by intellectuals. Multiple dimensional, identity of interests is the surest of bonds, whether between states or individuals. It is a general rule of human nature that people despise those who treat them well, dwell, and look up to those who make no concessions. Rapping obsession. We do not say that a man who takes no interest in politics, rapping automatic, as a man who minds his own busyness, rapping relentless, obsessed with. We say that he has no business here at all. Our Constitution, intuition, annihilation equation is called a democracy because power, I got the power, rapper forever, is in the hands not of a minority, but of the whole people. Purple, snapple, bedazzle, shizzle, my nizzle. When it is a question of settling private disputes, everyone is equal before the law, When it is a question of putting one person before another, rapper forever, in positions of public responsibility, what counts is not membership of a particular class, but the actual ability which the man possesses. Rapping or ending, a spatus for famous men have the whole earth as their memorial. The rapper, a razzle dazzle, is not only the inscriptions, rapping never ending, on their graves in their own country that mark them out. Poppy one in the mouth. I mean, pop. No, in foreign lands also, not in any visible, a purple snapple, a bedazzle, hustle, the devil form, but in people's hearts, their memory abides and grows. Love grows 1 by a 1, 2 by a 2, 3 by a 3, and 4 by a 4. It is for you to try to like them, rhythm and anthem. Make up your minds that happiness depends on being free, and freedom depends on being courageous. Rapping a delirious, why so serious? I am delirious. I am so a curious George about eating porridge. a love of power, operating through greed and through personal ambition, rapid intuition, constitution, equation was the cause of all these evils. Evil, bedazzle, to this must be added a violent fanaticism, which came into play away, once the struggle of purple snapple had broken out. Leaders of parties, wrapping their endlessly monopoly floppity in the cities had programs which appeared admirable, shizzle my nizzle, a multiple dimensional, a miracle spiritual, no one side, political equality for the masses, wrapping a bass of bedazzles on the other, the safe and sound government of aristocracy, democracy, a plutocracy is America, a government of rich and wealthy. It doesn't care about the opinion of the average man, so it's not democracy. America's actually plutocracy. A government of rich and wealthy doesn't care about the opinion of the average man. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. On one side, political equality for the masses. On the other, a safe and sound government of the aristocracy, but in professing to serve a public interest, they were seeking to win the prizes for themselves, wraps on the shelf, and their struggles for ascendancy. Nothing was barred. Terrible, horrible indeed were the actions to which they committed themselves, and taken revenge. What she took before in kindness, she now takes revenge. They went farther still up the hill. Here they were deterred neither by the claims of justice nor by the interest of the state. Their one standard was the pleasure of their own parte, rap a monopoly, floppity sloppity at that particular moment, and so either by means of condemning their enemies on an illegal vote, or by violently usurping power. I got the power rapper forever over them. They were always ready to satisfy the hatreds of the outward rapper forever, about for half an hour of us again. And either side had any use for a constant TS motives, rap I'm a bloated. More interest was shown in those who could produce attractive arguments to justify some disgraceful action. As for the citizens who held moderate views, fruit of the loom, they were destroyed by both the extreme parties, rap a monopoly, boppity, bibbity boppity boopity, either for not taking part in the struggle or an envy at the possibility what they might survive. Rhymes got them Jason Voorhees eyes. I shot him 6 times. Michael Myers in the eyes. Got them Jason Voorhees eyes. Rhymes. Friendship or enmity is everywhere, and affair of time and circumstance. Bam, bam, bam. I hope you dance. Raps in a trance is not so much your hostility that injures us, bus is rather the case that if we were on friendly terms, or hurt haven't you heard, the view our subjects would regard that as a sign of weakness. Where my raps I am obsessed with in us, whereas your hatred is evidence of our power. I've got the power, rapper forever, for a half an hour. However well off a man may be in his private life, he will still be involved in the general ruin, but a shoeing, if his country is destroyed. Whereas so long, as the state itself is secure, beer, individuals have a much greater rapper forever, a spitter, a pitter, a patter chance of recovering from their private misfortunes, but more abortions. The longer a war lasts, the more things tend to depend on accidents. I spit it. I sleep is nice as spit repenting again. Neither you nor we can see into them. We have to abide their outcome in the dark. Does fire ever spark? Like the demons begin to start. Like this rainbow, like a rainbow in the dark. When people are entering upon a war door, they do things the wrong way around. Action comes first, haven't you heard? And it is only when they have already suffered that they begin to think. The question is not so much whether they are guilty as whether we are making the right decision for ourselves. Raps on the shelves. Those who are politically pathetic, rapping pathetic, and only survive if they are supported by people who are capable of taking action. I'm spitting, never ending. I am same as I was, 'twas, and do not alter. It is you who have changed, rapper arrange, deranged. What has happened is this: you took my advice about rapping, but not rapping, stabbing the rhymes with a knife when you were still untouched by misfortune and repented of your action. Rapping their ending when things went badly with you, it is because your own resolution is weak. I tweak. As tweaker, rapper forever, that my policy appears to you to be mistaken. As a rule, those who are least remarkable, multiple dimensional for intelligence, hence the meth, showed greater powers of survival and denial. Such people recognize their own deficiencies and superior intelligence of their opponents, but hold it. Fearing that they might lose the debate or find themselves outmaneuvered, and intrigued by their quick-witted enemies' monopoly, they boldly launch straight into action, rapping their ending, while their opponents, overconfident in the belief that they would see never-endingly what was happening in advance and not thinking it necessary to seize by force a horse, what they could secure by policy were more easily destroyed, ahoy, because they were off their guard 84. Certainly it was a coursera, the rap, all, I spit all that content, all that content, I spit all that content, I spit all that, I spit all that content, I spit all that rap. You may be sure that we are as well aware as you of the difficulty of contending against your power and fortune, rapping never ending, unless the terms be equal. But we trust that the gods may grant us a bus fortune as good as yours, since we are just men fighting, rapping never ending against unjust, and that what we want in power will be made up by the alliance, rapping defiance of the Lacedaemonians, who are bound, never wow, meow, if only for very shame to come to the aid of the kindred of our confidence. Therefore, bore, which form Peloponnesian short, after all, is not so utterly irrational. Purple Snapple, for the love of gain, would reconcile the weaker to the dominion of the stronger, rapper forever in the possession of capital enabled the more powerful to reduce the smaller towns to subjection, rapping as inspection. And it was at a somewhat later stage of this development, rapping resentment, that they went on the expedition against Troy. Ahoy, a boy, I'm just a sexy boy, I'm not your boy toy. HBK, I'm not your boy toy, I'm just a sexy Kurt. I'll make your ankle hurt, and squirt, work. Nah, to fit and with the change of events, words to had them change their usual visual meanings. What used to be described as a faultless action of aggression, rapping repentant, was now bow wow meow, regarded as the courage one would expect to find in a party member. Rapper never enters, spitter a pitter a patter, raps go splatter to think of the future and wait. It was merely another way of saying one was a coward, a Howard, a Bower, a homeward bound, wow, lost and found. Any idea of moderation was just an attempt to disguise one's unmanly character. Ability to understand a question from all sides meant that one was totally unfitted for action, rapping, never ending, fanatical enthusiasm, anti-disciplinarianism, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, ferocious was the mark of a real man, and the plot against an enemy behind his back was perfectly legitimate self-defense, raps hence the meth. Anyone who held violence, I told him to keep silent, stop at my eyelids. Opinions could always be trusted, and anyone who objected to them became a suspect. Rap a bet. People are inclined to accept all stories of ancient times in an uncritical way, a day, all night and all day, even when those stories concern their own native counties. Most people shizzle my nizzle, in fact, will not take trouble in finding out the truth, but are more inclined to accept the first story they hear. Elevate term music, spend cable vocabulary, has been adequate and documented, education, psychological and communist validity, elaborate, and saying completely adamant, remains consciously accurate and coherent, and new show themselves to the intended subject materials for calipers, Aldotianism, infinitism, and rhymatism, Dachausianism, giantism, and syllabalism. For these reasons, they should not hesitate to exchange peace for war, but more if wise men remain quiet while they are not injured. Brave men abandon peace, a peace for war, and when they are injured, rapper forever, returning to an understanding on a favorable opportunity. In fact, they are neither intoxicated by their success, raps in a mess and war, nor disposed to take an injury for the sake of the delightful tranquility of peace. Indeed, it seems to falter for the sake of such delights as if you remain inactive, wrap up, bedazzle, the quickest way of losing the sweets of repose to which you cling, while to conceive extravagant extensions from success in war is to forget how hollow is the confidence by which you are related, elevated. Society had become divided into two ideologically hostile camps, tramp, and each side viewed the other with suspicion. Revelation thus ran its course from city to city, ramping never-endingly in the places which it arrived at last from having heard what had been done before. Which flew from plenty short. I'm a mind, I'm fire, my hair, so my soul flew, my full spark, off of our capital churches, harder than I had to hear these speak sound, little flip, and I got the quarters, also, the cripple, back and access, because when I peep, because I'm hungry, because the tigers want to eat, carried to a still greater excess of the refinement of their inventions as manifested in the cunning of their enterprises, rapid about never-ending despises, and the atrocity of their reprisals. Words had to change, deranged their ordinary meaning, and to take that which was now given them reckless audacity came to be considered the courage of a loyal supporter, rapper forever. Prudent hesitation, specious cowardice, moderation was held to be the cloak for unmanliness. Raps I'm obsessed with ability to see all sides of a question, incapacity to act on many frantic violence, became an attribute of manliness, cautious plotting, a justifiable means of self-defense, to advocate of extreme measures. Rapper forever was always trustworthy, never-endingly his opponent, a man to be suspected to succeed in a plot about tate-tot, was to have a shrewd head to the buying a plot, still shrewder, but to try to provide against having to do either. Rapper forever, turtle, squirtle, was to break up your party and to be afraid of your adversaries. Blast off at the speed of light, surrendering out or prepared to fight. Me outfit's right, their end and rhymes, gotta catch 'em all, ball. No. Mewtwo, to the most powerful Pokemon of them all. Mewtwo using telekinesis to levitate Teletubbies. Their end spitting to thee. Our opinion of the gods and our knowledge of men lead us to conclude about interlude that it is a general and necessary law of nature to rule whatever one can. This is not a law that we made ourselves, us raps on the shelf, nor were we the first to act upon it when it spit it rap out poet. I know it was made. We found it already in existence, rapping a hiatus, and we shall leave it to exist forever among those who come after us. We are merely rapping never-endingly acting in accordance with it, and we know that you are or nobody else with the same power as ours would be acting in precisely the same way all night and all day to day. Goodwill shown by the party that is asking for help does not mean security for a prospective ally. What is looked for a positive preponderance of power and action, rapping their ending. The actual definition of gay means happy, rapping their endingly. Their definition of retard is slow or to slander, rapper forever. I'm not never ender, a spitter, a spatter. Goodwill shown by the party that is asking for help. Yelp, a gasp, does not mean security for a prospective ally. What is looked for a positive preponderance of power and action, what used to be described as thoughtless, rapid, obsessed with active aggression, was now regarded as the courage that one would expect to find in a party member. Rapid forever to think of the future and wait was merely never-endingly another way of saying one was a coward. Rapper Howard. Any idea of moderation was just an attempt to disguise rhymes. One's unmanly character, ability to understand a question from all sides meant that one was totally unfitted for action, rapping or ending. I sit back as packs zags bag full of weed, gives me shit, and even those in the seeing the surface is perfect. Curses, blood, bizarre shit works and sells help. My mind on fire, my hair slide, my soul full, my full sparks, I should go out for a couple turns, this harder than hot, boiled and pig, a dick, and a break a big, I'm sick. Palms, sweat, knees, weak, arms are heavy, bombs are sweater already. My spaghetti is nervous, but I seriously was calm, ready to drop bombs. It keeps on forgetting, wrote down whole crowds, goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. Back to the lab again, yup, the old rap shit again, better go capture this moment, rabbit again, go back to the lab again, capture this moment, hope it don't pass him. Choking, how are we joking now? Clocks are out, time's up over, plop, pop, I mean, pop, now, right now, bend over your mama.